Odegaard, and what about that for a measured ball?
Odegaard to deliver. Gabriel Jesus made a late move into the penalty.
Jesus turned into the space. Flying stop by Benitez.
He just takes the level up in training, in matches to levels that are just we haven't seen from Arsenal.
Probably won't get an easier goal, but he gets himself in some fabulous positions.
Seeing the shots here, oh, what a finish! What a finish from Bukayo Saka!
Welcome back, football fans. Tonight we pull back the curtain on a truth that's sending shockwaves across Premier League backlines. A truth that's hiding in plain sight. Arsenal's new attack isn't just good, it's calculated chaos. Stay with us as we dive in and uncover the scary truth behind the Gunners' resurgence. It began not with a trophy, not with a signing, but with something more dangerous: intent. In a league where fine margins determine legacy, Mikel Arteta didn't just tweak his frontline, he weaponized it. This isn't the Arsenal of yesteryear, pretty but predictable. This is an organism, fast, technical, cold, and most terrifyingly, cohesive. Opposing defenders aren't just getting dribbled past, they're getting dissected. No time to recover, no breath to regroup, just wave after wave of movement, precision, and pressure. It started in whispers, a few moments here and there, a late winner, a brutal counter. But now, it's a pattern. And for Premier League defenders, it's a recurring nightmare. Gabriel Jesus dragging the centre-backs out like bait. Saka slipping behind the full-backs like smoke. Odegaard finding the half space like he was born in it. And then there's Havertz, who everyone forgot until he arrived with intent. It's not about scoring 5 goals a game, it's about suffocation. This attack isn't designed to entertain, it's designed to break you, mentally, physically, positionally, and it's working. Just ask the defenders who don't sleep the night before they play Arsenal, or the managers who switch formations mid-match, not to win, but to survive. But where did it all start? How did this attack go from inconsistent to instrument of fear? Let's rewind and take it from the beginning. Before the goals, before the headlines, before the fear, there were cold mornings at Colney and a manager with a vision no one fully understood yet. When Mikel Arteta arrived at Arsenal, he didn't inherit a powerhouse. He inherited confusion, a fractured dressing room, a broken attack, and a fan base too tired to hope. But quietly, deliberately, he began to strip it all back. No shortcuts, no panic buys. Just a long, painful process of rebuilding, starting from zero. Behind every pass you see today, behind every flick, every feint, every devastating run, are years of repetitions, drills that bored some, broke others, but built a team that now moves like a machine. The first key, discipline. Every player, no matter their name or past, had to buy into Arteta's doctrine. Play out from the back or sit on the bench. Press or perish. Move the ball at tempo or don't play at all. The second key, intelligence. This wasn't just about physicality. It was about creating a system where every movement had a purpose, where space became a weapon. He didn't want just attackers. He wanted intelligent chaos agents. That's why Odegaard became captain. That's why Saka was trusted at 19. That's why Gabriel Jesus wasn't signed for his goals, but for his disruption. And slowly, match by match, the signs emerged. Not everyone saw it, but those who did, they knew Arsenal were not just rebuilding a team, they were forging a storm. A storm that would eventually be feared, not because it struck hard, but because you never saw it coming. Every great story has a moment, a flicker of change, a shift so small on the surface, but seismic underneath. For Arsenal, that moment came not in victory, but in defeat. It was January, a North London derby that stung, not just because of the result, but because it exposed them. Spurs didn't outplay them. They waited for Arsenal's possession to stretch too far, for their midfield to lose shape, for their fullbacks to forget the threat behind them, and then it hit Arteta like lightning. Control was nothing without threat. Possession was pointless without penetration. From that moment on, the blueprint changed. No longer a sterile 4-2-3-1, now it was a mutating machine. Zinchenko began drifting inside. Partey became the pivot of pressure. Odegaard and Saka linked in triangles that twisted defensive shapes inside out. But the real switch, it wasn't in tactics, it was in intensity. Arsenal didn't just want the ball, they hunted it, in packs, with timing, with venom. Suddenly teams couldn't build, midfielders couldn't breathe, and defenders, they didn't know where to look. Jesus would drop into midfield, dragging a centre-back with him. Saka would ghost into the space behind. Odegaard would appear exactly where no one expected, and suddenly Arsenal had 5 attackers in the final third. Every time they lost the ball, they'd swarm like red bees. 10 seconds. That was the rule. Get it back within 10 seconds, or foul smart and reset the trap. The result? A team that wasn't just playing football, they were conducting surgical warfare. From that tactical pivot, a new Arsenal was born. Not one that played to entertain, but one that played to intimidate. And no one embodied that shift more than the silent assassin himself. Martin Odegaard doesn't scream. He doesn't charge into tackles with dramatic flair or flex after goals. He operates in silence, a whisper in the storm. But don't mistake quiet for soft. Odegaard is Arsenal's conductor, its brain, and often its sharpest blade. When Arteta made him captain, some questioned the decision. He wasn't loud. He didn't fit the mold of the shouting, chest-thumping leader. But that's exactly why he was chosen. Because Martin leads by control, not chaos. And in this Arsenal attack, control is everything. What makes Odegaard terrifying isn't what he does when he's on the ball, but what he does before he receives it. His positioning in the right half space draws defenders just enough to create cracks in the line. He's always scanning, always calculating. One glance to the left, one half step forward, and suddenly the entire defensive shape is compromised. He's not just playing football. He's solving puzzles that most players don't even see. And then there's the final third. That's where Odegaard becomes lethal, not just with his passing, but with his timing. He arrives late, not too early to get picked up, not too late to miss the moment, and when he strikes, it's with surgical precision. Whether it's a disguised pass to release Saka, or a driven shot through traffic, he's always one thought ahead, one move sharper. Defenders hate it because he doesn't do the obvious. When they press, he pivots. When they drop off, he drives. And when they try to track his runs, he vanishes into space. He's not flashy, but he's frighteningly effective. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and Odegaard is the one holding the scalpel. He's the reason Arsenal's attack looks so effortless, because behind every run, every touch, every overload is a player orchestrating the chaos like a silent assassin in a red shirt. He doesn't just play the game, he bends it. And beside him, another force is gathering momentum. Young, ruthless, and burning with a fire the Premier League couldn't put out. Bukayo Saka was never supposed to carry this much weight on his shoulders. Not this young, not this soon, but that's the cruel reality of modern football. Stars are forged in fire, and few have walked through flames like Saka has. After the heartbreak of the Euro 2020 final, when the world watched him miss that decisive penalty, many expected him to fade, to wilt under the spotlight. The headlines were brutal, the online abuse was sickening, but what came next wasn't collapse, it was revenge, sculpted over seasons, delivered with grace. Saka didn't talk much, he didn't need to. He responded the only way he knew how, by becoming unplayable. Every time he steps onto the pitch now, he's not just playing to win, he's playing with purpose, to prove the doubters wrong, to carry a club, a fan base, and a generation that sees in him something rare. Genuine greatness with humility. Technically, he's evolved into one of the most complete wide players in Europe. His dribbling isn't flashy, it's purposeful, calculated to unbalance the defender and create space. His body feints, his weight shifts, they're all finely tuned. He can go inside or outside, and when he cuts in on that left foot, defenders already know what's coming, and they still can't stop it. But beyond the technique, what truly sets Saka apart is his decision making. At just 22, he plays like a veteran. He knows when to drive, when to hold, when to release. He rarely wastes possession, and in high-pressure situations, he thrives. Whether it's threading a pass through a crowded box or calmly slotting a penalty in a packed Emirates, Saka delivers. What makes him even more terrifying for defenders is how seamlessly he combines with Odegaard and Ben White on the right. The triangle they form is devastating. While Odegaard drifts centrally and White overlaps, Saka becomes the focal point, the spark that turns pressure into productivity. But don't mistake his composure for passiveness. Saka plays angry, but with elegance. Every goal, every assist is a statement, a quiet scream to the world. You didn't break me, you built me. He's no longer the academy kid trying to find his place. He's the cornerstone of a front line that terrifies even the most elite defenders in the league. And yet, it's not just the wide players making noise. At the heart of this storm is a striker who doesn't just score, he disrupts. Gabriel Jesus doesn't fit the mold of a traditional striker. He's not the towering presence who bullies centre-backs in the air, nor the fox in the box waiting for a final pass. He's something more elusive, more destructive. He's the hammer that breaks the rhythm. When Arsenal signed him from Manchester City, critics questioned whether Jesus could lead the line. His goal tally was modest. His role at City had been fluid. But what Arteta saw wasn't just a forward, he saw a tactical weapon. Jesus' genius lies in his unpredictability. One moment he's pressing the goalkeeper with relentless energy. The next, he's dropping deep into midfield, dragging a centre-back out of position and creating chaos. He doesn't just run channels, he erases defensive structure. Defenders hate it because Jesus doesn't stay where he's supposed to. When they're expecting a duel, he vanishes. When they commit to follow, they leave space behind. And that's when Saka, Martinelli or Odegaard arrive, at pace, with precision and usually unmarked. What makes Jesus so effective isn't just his movement, it's his ferocity. He's relentless. Watch any game and you'll see him chasing down lost causes, winning 50-50s and battling like a man possessed. He brings grit to a front line built on finesse. He turns broken plays into goal-scoring opportunities. But there's a subtler side too. His touch in tight spaces is sublime. He can trap a ball out of the air with the calm of a veteran playmaker, swivel and thread a pass through three defenders without hesitation. His intelligence in link-up play, especially with Odegaard and the advancing midfielders, is why Arsenal's attacks feel so fluid, so interconnected. And when it's time to finish, Jesus doesn't hesitate. He doesn't need 3 touches, 1 fake, 1 strike, 1 ripple of the net. It's not volume that defines him, it's impact. More than a striker, Jesus is a disruptor, a player who doesn't just participate in the system, but shatters the opponents. And yet, even with Jesus, Odegaard and Saka firing, Arsenal still needed one final piece. A puzzle that didn't quite fit at first, but then evolved into something unexpected. When Kai Havertz arrived at Arsenal, the reaction was divided. For some, it was a gamble. A player who had flickered with brilliance at Chelsea but never truly exploded. For others, it was a mistake. Another misfit signing with no defined role. But what no one saw coming was the quiet reinvention that would make him Arsenal's final weapon. Arteta didn't sign Havertz for his highlights. He signed him for what he could become in the right system. A ghost runner, a space invader, a pressing machine who could disrupt defenses without ever being the center of attention. The beginning was rough. Havertz struggled to adapt. His touches were heavy, his confidence fragile. Social media was ruthless. Headlines questioned his price tag, fans questioned his place. But inside Arsenal's camp, there was no panic, because the plan was always long-term. Arteta shifted Havertz into a hybrid role, not quite a midfielder, not quite a second striker. His job, to exploit chaos, to be the unpredictable shadow floating between the lines. And slowly it began to click. What Havertz brought was subtle, but crucial. He offered height in a small attacking unit, aerial presence in both boxes. He made late runs into the penalty area that defenders never tracked, and when Jesus dropped deep, Havertz surged forward, like clockwork, like design. His pressing became sharper, his movements more decisive, and most importantly, his confidence returned. He started scoring, not just tap-ins, but critical, match-changing goals. And with each strike, the weight lifted. The jeers turned to cheers. But what transformed him from flop to final piece wasn't just form, it was trust. Arteta believed in him before the numbers justified it. And in return, Havertz became the kind of player who could tilt matches without touching the ball for minutes at a time. Defenders now have to account for him. When they focus on Odegaard or Jesus, Havertz drifts in unmarked. When they push up, he runs in behind. He's not the loudest piece of the Arsenal puzzle, but he's the one that completes the picture. And with that final piece locked in, the blueprint was ready. Not just for beautiful football, but for something colder. Domination. Behind every movement, every switch of play, every devastating counter-attack, there's a mastermind pulling the strings. Mikel Arteta didn't just rebuild Arsenal, he re-engineered it. From a fragile, inconsistent team into a cold-blooded system designed to outthink, outrun, and outlast everyone. Arteta's blueprint isn't just tactics on a whiteboard, it's a culture shift. One built on intensity, accountability, and obsession with detail. At first glance, the shape is fluid. Zinchenko steps into midfield, White becomes an auxiliary winger, Odegaard drifts into central channels, Jesus drops deep. But every rotation is calculated, every overload is planned. What seems like chaos to the opposition is actually precision warfare. In training, Arteta doesn't just drill formations, he drills scenarios. What to do if the press is broken, what runs to make when the ball reaches the half space, how to trap an opponent on the touchline using not one, but 3 players. The goal isn't just to win, it's to control the terms of every match. But the real genius lies in his adjustments. Arteta isn't married to one system, he adapts ruthlessly. Against low blocks, he floods the half spaces. Against high presses, he drops a midfielder deep and turns build-up into bait. He forces opponents to react, while Arsenal dictates. More than tactics, Arteta has built a psychological edge. His players walk onto the pitch knowing they're part of something bigger, something refined, rehearsed, and resilient, and the results speak for themselves. Arsenal don't just dominate possession, they dominate territory, tempo, and mindset. The front 3 aren't isolated attackers, they're interconnected threats. If you double Saka, Odegaard slices you open. If you track Jesus deep, Martinelli is already running in behind. If you shift wide, Havertz crashes the box. This is Arteta's version of total football, not romantic, but ruthless. A machine where every player understands their role, their rotation, their responsibility. And when they move together, it's not just beautiful, it's unplayable. But perhaps the most telling proof of their fear factor isn't in stats or heat maps. It's in what opponents are saying, not on camera, but behind closed doors. Footballers rarely admit fear. On the pitch, pride takes over. Off the pitch, the media masks everything in cliché. We respect them. It's just another game. But in the quiet moments, in the tunnel, in the dressing room, on the bus ride home, the truth slips out. And the truth is this: Premier League defenders fear Arsenal. Not because of individual brilliance, though there's plenty of that. Not because of one star player who demands triple marking, but because Arsenal's attack is like facing a storm you can't read. It comes in angles, in layers, in waves. You don't know where the danger's coming from, only that it's already here. Multiple insiders have whispered the same thing. Arsenal's hardest trait to prepare for is their unpredictability. 1 minute, the ball is with Zinchenko in midfield. The next, Odegaard has sliced through the line. Saka hasn't even touched the ball yet, but you're already 1 step behind. A veteran fullback once told a teammate after a 2-0 loss, "It's not just the pace, it's how coordinated they are, like they know what you're thinking before you do." Goalkeepers feel it too. The shots come not from impossible angles, but from perfect ones. Arsenal doesn't waste possession, they squeeze every pass, every cutback, every flick with surgical timing. And when they don't score, they recycle, reset, repeat like a machine that never tires. The mental toll is enormous. One centre-back, speaking off record, said, "You finish the game and you feel like you've played 180 minutes, not 90. They don't let you breathe. And then there's the psychological game, the tunnel silence before kickoff, the eye contact from Odegaard, the calm confidence of Saka, the smirk from Jesus when he knows he's already got into your head. It's not arrogance, it's readiness. These moments don't show up in match reports, but they live in the minds of every opponent Arsenal has faced and broken. A kind of footballing PTSD that makes even the strongest defenses hesitate, second guess, or worse, crack. And it all leads to one haunting realization. This isn't just a strong Arsenal team, It might be the most terrifying version we've ever seen. It's a question that echoes louder with every match day. Is this the most terrifying Arsenal attack the Premier League has ever witnessed? It's not built like the Invincibles, where Thierry Henry was the focal point and legends lined the pitch. It's not as romantic as the Wenger ball era, full of flair and freedom, but this version, it's colder, sharper, smarter. It's fear disguised as fluidity. It's intelligence backed by intensity. It's a collective force where no single player shines above the system, because the system is the star. This attack doesn't rely on one man to pull them through. It relies on movement, synergy, and suffocation. It overwhelms you, not with pace alone, but with pressure. Not with brute strength, but with timing. In every game, they ask the same question. Can you survive 90 minutes of this? Most teams can't. Not anymore. And that's the scary truth. Saka's redemption, Odegaard's orchestration, Jesus' disruption, Havertz's redemption, all forged under Arteta's ruthless vision. This isn't just a lineup, it's an arsenal of destruction, calibrated to dismantle you piece by piece. And they're only getting better. The chemistry grows, the rotation deepens, the belief hardens. So ask yourself, if you were in that tunnel, if you saw that red wave lining up across from you, would you play to win or hope to survive? Because this attack isn't coming, it's already here. And if they keep going like this, they won't just win matches, they'll leave a mark, a legacy of fear burned into Premier League history. Now the question is yours. Is this the most terrifying Arsenal attack of all time, or just the beginning of something even scarier? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Because the next wave, it's already forming.